Okay. So yeah, I suppose a good place to start is, so did you do A-level psychology, or did you do did you do psychology at school? Like, what was your first experience of psychology?
I would say it was when I was picking my A levels actually, and I think we had to pick 5 or something crazy, and it was either sociology or psychology, and I know that sociology had law and other factors within the subject, and I've always been interested in psychology. Initially about going into forensic psychology because you're watching all like the documentaries, crime fighting documentaries.
Yeah.
That's for me. But when I was doing my psychology A level, it was talking about health behaviours and all the different models, like health belief model, theory of planned behaviour. And I thought, oh, this is quite interesting. I'd quite like to do a degree in it. And I'd always really enjoyed going, like, I sound like such a nerd, but I really enjoyed going to those classes. So I really looked forward to going. So then I guess, yeah, then I just applied to do my psychology degree, BPS accredited route, which is the way, it's the one to go for, isn't it?
Oh my God, you don't want to do your whole psychology degree and then find out it's not accredited by the BPS, because that would be soul destroying.
Not ideal, no, yeah. And I know a few people have had to do conversion courses.
Yeah, just adding another year onto an already long career route.
Yeah, oh, most definitely. And yeah, I just really loved it. And I'd say my kind of route into health psychology wasn't until my final year. There was a module in my first as undergrad. And I really loved it. And I just thought, oh, this is fantastic. Just considering how people think and feel, and how they behave in a certain way can influence how their lifestyle and how it affects them day to day. So I thought, oh, this is fantastic. I'd like to pursue a career in this. So yeah, that was my humble beginnings. But what about you?
Yeah, you were into the health bit of psychology long before me, it sounds like. I did psychology as well, but I always was like, oh yeah, mental health, clinical psychology. And yeah, didn't really know that health psychology was a thing. Loved the subject of psychology, like you say. And yeah, I thought this is what I want to do as a degree. But to be honest, I didn't even know until A-level psychology that psychologists were a thing, because I was always like, oh, maybe I want to work with children with special needs in a school, but I was like, I don't want to be a teacher, I just want to hear their problems. And I was like, you can't really do that. But then, yeah, I discovered psychology and thought, right, that's what I'm going to do. But still didn't really have any teaching about health psychology as such. But yeah, I went to Kent to do my undergraduate. Where did you do yours?
I did mine at St Mary's, but I'm actually from Kent. So did you go to Canterbury?
Yeah. This could be an awkward question, but I feel like we're similar. How old are you? I feel like we're a similar age.
Yeah, I'm 26. How about you?
27. Yeah, I thought we were.
I'll be 27 this year. Amazing. I didn't think to ask you that actually before.
No. And you never, I feel like people could be like when people are between like 20 and 35, they could be any age, I think. So yeah. So you went to St Mary's.
Yeah, in Twickenham actually, and funnily enough, I did actually, because obviously it's close to home, Uni of Kent, and it was the first, in school where they take you to, I don't know if your school did this, but they take you on trips to university days. I don't know if it was during my GCSE or I think it must have been during my A levels. And we went to Kent, and I remember going, oh, this is a fantastic. I remember the psychology department was massive, and it was brilliant, and it was brand new, and I really liked the look of it. But for my A level, unfortunately, they weren't high enough to go to Kent. But yeah, St Mary's really stood out to me, even though yes, it's a sports uni. It pretty much is a sports uni. It just had a really nice feel about it. It was a smaller uni, and I really liked the what the course had to offer. It was talking about, I don't know, sexual health. There was one course module on that, which I thought was like, oh wow, because I quite like topics that are quite if there's any like stigmas attached to it or things for work. Let's just unpick that and see. Let's learn that. So yeah, I really loved it there, and I'm pretty much all in contact with all the St Mary's staff.
Really?
They're so lovely, and because it's only a small team. But yeah, what about you? How was your time in Kent?
Yeah, I think I loved the course. I did a 4-year degree, so I did a placement year in the middle, which was amazing, and I completely credit to being able to for that getting me the job I got after I graduated, because it just gave me so much experience. I worked in a child health team for a year, which was it almost like made everything you learned in lectures make sense, because you actually saw it in real life the first time. But just going back to what you said about not getting the grades, I actually didn't get the grades to go to my first choice uni either, and I thought that was the end of my life. It was the end of my psychology career idea, and I think it's just important to say that it's not. I think you can go on and be a psychologist with all sorts of routes, and we'll get on to that, I think. But yeah, I thought that was it. I thought I've messed up my A levels. I'm not going to be able to do what I want to do, but it's just not true at all.
Oh, most definitely. And it's actually, I think what I've learned throughout this, I mean, how many years have I been studying now? I think it's like 8.
Yeah.
It was quite a lot and that's the thing, if sometimes, you've committed yourself to a certain route, but also it's all about not being too hard and harsh on yourself, because at the end of the day, if you are committed and you are driven, you will achieve it. All about learning along the way. That's, I'd say, my biggest lesson from everything, and just because you will get the work done ultimately, and we'll get there. It's just, as you say, sometimes I think the way things are meant to be, keep trying and you will get there eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you finish your degree? It was probably similar time to me, because I did 4 years. I finished in 2016.
I did as well, but I did mine in 3 years, because the placement year wasn't offered, which is, I found,
rare, really rare.
Yeah, that is rare. I mean, I just assumed that was the case for all undergrad degrees, and I do wish I had that placement experience, because pretty much after I finished my undergrad degree in 2016, I then applied to do my master's, but I had to do it part-time. So because obviously funding, money, self-supporting myself, so I signed up as a teaching assistant. So I'd work 4 days a week, and then the 1 day a week I'd have off just to do my going to Westminster, which is funnily enough where one of my lecturers went, and she did psychology there as her master's, and she was always saying, oh, it's a fantastic uni and the staff are really friendly. So I said, right, I want to go here. I love it. I went to an open day and it just felt right. So it was a challenging, I suppose at the time you just do it because you work, and then it was gaining experience in working with children as well, which was lovely, just experiencing that, and working in primary schools. Teachers work so hard, they work insane. So it was good experience for me for the 2 years, and I worked at 2 different schools over those 2 years, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and again, I think it's so interesting, like we keep saying, we're ending up in the same profession, but again, our routes into it are so different. So you did your master's straight away, it sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much.
I waited for 4 years before I did my master's. So I only did my master's in 2020, COVID year. So what I did was I was lucky, and I got an honorary assistant psychologist job in a CAMS team.
Wow.
Which was great, but it wasn't paid, and I was like, I can't do this and not earn any money. So I used to do that I think a couple of days a week, and then worked in Tesco's. And then after a few months, there was a paid job that came up that I got in the same team. And then I just worked in CAMS and in an eating disorders service for on and off in various different roles for the next 4 years. And I was really lucky again that they paid for me to do the low intensity CBT training, cognitive behaviour therapy, so that I did lots of different roles within the same trust, which was just invaluable experience, really. And actually that's when I became interested in health psychology, because I always enjoyed working with children who had a physical health problem as well as a psychological difficulty, so people with chronic pain, eating difficulties, eating disorders. I just thought that is what I want to do, which is when I was like, oh, I'll do a master's in health psychology. So yeah, I didn't do that until like a year and a half ago.
Wow. And so about this like low intensity CBT training, I actually would like to pursue some CBT training. Maybe I'll give myself a little break after.
A little break, PhD.
Because I'm in my final year at the moment, and 6 months left. Woo. And
amazing.
Yeah, the CBT training. So could you say more about that? That's amazing.
Yeah, it was with the one I did was with Sussex University, and yeah, again, I didn't have to pay for that. My work paid, which was amazing. It was 1 year, and I used to go down to Brighton once a week for a year to do quite intensive teaching on the cognitive behavioural skills for more mild to moderate difficulties, so anxiety, low mood, sort of less severe depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, those kind of things. And I worked as an assistant psychologist in my CAM service for the rest of the time, and I had a small caseload as part of that training, and did lots of practical assessments, lots of being filmed doing therapy, which is always really embarrassing, but yeah, it was really good. It was a really valuable thing to do. I think there's similar ones at King's as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe UCL, I'm not sure, but yeah, I would really recommend it. And it's only a year, so it goes really quick.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. CBT is on my list of this. It's on my next list, but yeah, that's fantastic. So then you did so you're in your first year of your PhD then?
Yeah, so I did big gap between undergraduate and masters, then went masters straight to PhD. But I did my masters through the whole of the COVID year, which actually worked out quite well, because I just did it all from home, and that enabled me to work in research assistant jobs, which got me the research experience I needed to do a PhD. So worked out okay in an odd kind of way.
That's the thing. Between my masters as well, I finished my masters and
at Westminster.
Yeah, I finished that at Westminster, and was actually quite sad to go, because I really enjoyed it there. But yeah, after 2 years, I was like, yep, I'm happy with this. And I thought, right, because I kept applying. I did apply for a few PhD studentships, but I kept getting rejected because they were saying, oh well, you haven't got the experience. And I'd already signed up to work as a research assistant at the Royal Surrey Hospital in audiology, which was very interesting.
Yeah.
And I did that, I think, between 6 to 8 months. I can't remember really. I think it was about 6 months, and maybe even less than that. And that was fantastic. But I kept getting rejection after rejection for studentships, which is quite it does hit you a little bit. It does, it does make you feel, oh God, am I ever going to get onto a PhD? But that is part of the process. And I will say to anybody, don't give up. Just however cliche that sounds, you've got to really keep trying and keep pushing forward. it will be okay. You will get onto the course that is right for you, basically. But I thought, right, okay, I'm going to take a bit of a break. I'm going to listen to what people are saying, and I'm going to go and get some more experience in research. So I moved actually from Surrey into London, which is where I'm based again now. And I basically said, right, okay, going to get a job. Got a job at Moorfields Eye Hospital as a study coordinator. It was via clinical research, but it's still experience working with patients face to face, delivering interventions and clinical trials and things like that. So that was quite interesting. But I was actually more interested in the projects that are pretty much focused on, say, behaviour change, and as well as, say, taking medication and things like that. So yeah, it was good. It was very eye-opening actually to see how that other side of medical research was run, and it's quite intense. It's fantastic work and job, and I was able to travel, got to go to many different places around the world, international conferences. So it was a great experience. And then after a fair amount of time working there, I went, right, I'm gonna got my confidence back up again. And I felt right. I think I've got enough experience now. I'm going to apply for this PhD. And I saw that there were Surrey offered a PhD in health psychology with the stage 2 training, which is, so the master's is your stage 1 training, and then following that is your stage 2 training. So the PhD can be separate to your stage 2, but you can combine what you do for your PhD to contribute towards your stage 2 work. And I thought, right, I'm going to go for it. So then I looked on the Surrey website, and I found in my master's, they don't really tell you how to apply for a PhD. They don't tell you about the process really. So I had to find that out by myself, and just by Googling. And basically all I did was I went onto the Surrey website, had a little nose at the psychology web page, and looked at available supervisors. And I basically contacted the lecturers that had similar research interests to me. Then and then we arranged to have a meeting, and then we discussed projects, and and then my supervisor said, right, you can apply for the PhD course now. And luckily we were able to secure funding along the way as well, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Initially I was going to do it part-time, and then they said, oh, this funding will be full-time. So then I had to quickly then go to my job at Moorfields. I'm sorry, they've offered me a full-time position, and they said go for it. They were really lovely and understanding about it, and I always be grateful to them about that. So
Amazing.
yeah, it was amazing. But how about you? How
it worked out in the end for you?
Yeah.
It's because I think we were saying, weren't we, that health psychology, there's not like one way of getting into the doctoral level of it, and we're doing different routes, but then there's a third one that neither of us are doing. So yeah, you've applied to like a course that it incorporates both the PhD, the academic bit, and the doctoral stage 2, so that you'll be able to work clinically. And I'm kind of doing the same thing, but it's not set up like that. So I applied for my PhD at York, and that's actually in health sciences, not psychology, but it's a very psychological focus. So it's about developing a new psycho-educational resource for children who've had a specific type of cancer. And like you, I was lucky that this was a studentship, it was funded. So because I think there's just no way that I could have done a PhD and paid for it. And I was really naive to PhD. I always thought I can't do a PhD because I'm not going to be able to pay for it. And actually some people probably do, but I didn't realise that there's quite a lot of ways you can get funding.
Yeah, there's but you won't, that's the thing, unless I think it's a bit of the case of, oh, now because you see it, like, because you're on the other side of it. But I suppose there's a lot of dark areas about but yeah, no, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, but it's just I think it's such a barrier for people even
Definitely.
to start looking, because you think, oh, I can't afford that, it's so expensive. But yeah, I applied for that. Fortunately, was given the position, which is amazing. And then I organised my stage 2 health psychology training separately.
Mhm.
I'm doing what's called the independent stage 2 route, which is, it means that I had to find a supervisor, a health psychologist who would work with me for the 2+ years it takes, however long it takes me to meet the competencies to get the health psychologist qualification. And again, I was really fortunate that my supervisor for my master's at UCL is accredited as a supervisor, so I'm actually working with her. So again, it works out in funny ways sometimes. So yeah, and then I think, just not that either of us know that much about it, but the other route is course based, isn't it? I think there's Bristol, Stirling, Liverpool, and Staffordshire.
There's also I know in Scotland as well, they offer a lot of courses up. Like Scotland is quite like they
They're much
do
more ahead than us, aren't they?
Yeah, they really do promote it up in the north. And yeah, I know from talking to a few friends that have done that route, it's more they work in-house with patients, delivering, not for all cases obviously, because as we've discovered, health psychology can be achieved in, like the course can be achieved in many different ways. You can fulfill the competencies, the possibilities are endless, which is what I quite like about it. But yeah, my friend, she would have like interventions with patients, and she'd be sitting in with them and delivering therapies and things like that. But I know that she had to do, say, her systematic review and other things to achieve her competencies. But I know also with my PhD, I've combined, because I've fulfilled a lot of the research competency anyway. Well, I will be fulfilling it with my thesis. That's like a tick there. And I did a systematic review relating to my research area, which is digital health, which is basically using avatars and mobile health apps to change lifestyle behaviours, in a very less complicated summary. And yeah, no, it's great. And I will say, as in doing a PhD, I think, yeah, it's great. It's great to secure funding and things like that. And if anybody's ever worried about finding additional funding elsewhere, I know with my university, they offer funding. There's a lot of funding opportunities. I think they get sent around once a month. So I know university will support you with that and help you to get on the ladder for that. But also you can have a lot of teaching work. We have at Surrey, which is called graduate teaching assistants, where we can lead our own lectures, and obviously that ticks one of the 5 competencies, teaching and training. Also, one of my supervisors sent me an opportunity at Queen Mary, teach some medical students, which again fulfills one of the competencies, which has been very interesting, because they obviously focus a lot on the medical model, and I'm saying, oh, this is the biopsychosocial model, like including additional considerations. So that's been quite fun, and I've met so many lovely people along the way, and worked on consultancy projects with Marie Curie, and Health Psychology Exchange and UCL again. So you can work with other universities, other faculties, places. But yeah, like you can earn money whilst doing your PhD. Like I've got a research assistant role at Your Healthcare, which is an NHS trust. But it is a juggle. I will be honest in saying that it is how you manage your time. And as a health psychologist, you do have to we have to do the PhD and then the stage 2 work on top of the PhD. Yeah. So is that quite prepared? Because I remember sitting down and my stage 2 supervisor saying, "This is all the work you have to do," and it's like, okay, that's quite a fair bit of work. But actually, if you integrate it with your PhD and your lifestyle, and it's all about time management really, and scheduling yourself, it's okay. You will be fine, basically.
Yeah, completely. And you're much further on than me, but it is such a juggle. Like we both, like you said, you work as a research assistant, so do I. We both juggle so many different roles, but I think it's been clever with it as well. Like you said, ticking off various things in your training, whilst earning a bit of money, whilst doing this. It's that's what I really like about health psychology. It's really flexible. You can sort of make it work for you, and we're doing completely different things. Our research focus is completely different, but I think that just shows the breadth of health psychology, really. You're nearly finished. Do you know, this is a horrible question, feel free to not answer it, but do you know what you want to do afterwards? Do you want to be more clinical or academic or both?
I would I'd quite like to have, because I quite like this, like juggling. I suppose I've been doing it for so many years now. Like even at my undergrad, I was working just on the side. I quite like the idea of maybe teaching and having a patient-facing role as well. Maybe going private or doing some consultancy work. I'm just going to see what pops up at the end of this degree, and it will be nice to actually work and have, not have to say worry about doing a degree alongside everything else. So I am quite looking forward to doing that, but I'm just going to have to see what comes along my way. I'm just going to apply, and I'm just really pleased that I've got this far, and and as well, I don't know if you have the same, you probably will with your PhD, but we have a viva at the end. And that obviously assesses the PhD and everything else, and then the stage 2 gets marked and moderated by separate external examiners, and they come in. I don't know if they sit with you or if they do it without you being there, so you are effectively assessed several different times over. But I think as long as you find some enjoyment in doing your PhD or whatever route you take, it's all about peaks and troughs doing a PhD. And I remember my supervisor being very honest. She said, some days you are really gonna not have the best time with this, and then you wake up the next day and you say, yes, I'm ready. It's just,
it's just like any job, really, isn't it? You're never going to love it every day, but as long as you're actually interested in the topic that you're researching, then you'll always come back to it and make sure you finish it. Exciting. It's I think especially the routes that we're doing, because we have the academic part and the clinical part, it just, you can do what you like afterwards, essentially. So it's exciting. But no, it's been really good to talk about it.
Yeah, and how about you though, before we finish up, what route are you not, because I know you're in your first year, do you have any ideas to what you would like to?
I think similar to you, I'd like to do sort of a bit of multiple things. I definitely want to do something clinical. I'm really interested in continuing working in pediatric oncology, or potentially palliative care, so end of life care, sort of clinically, but also in a research role. I'm not as focused on wanting to teach, but doing consultancy definitely, and research into that area is probably what I want to do. But I'll see in 2.5 years if I still feel the same.
Yeah, you'll be fine. It's you'll be absolutely fine, and it's as you say, it's enjoyable. But it has been so wonderful to actually meet health psychologists, and I think we were saying anyway before we came onto this call, it's how lovely the health psychology network is and how supportive like everybody is with one another. It is actually really lovely to meet and talk with other health psychologists too, so there's always that as a factor as well.
It is, and we're underrepresented. People don't know about us, so we're just sort of good to show people how you can do it, I suppose. And because it's a really important job at the end of the day. Like health psychology is like, not to make us sound really important, but it is a really important job. So people need to know about it, and how it can help in loads of different ways.
Yeah, no, 100%, completely agree.